So next up, we will be going to the relationship-centered organization. And, in keeping with the theme of today, the relationship-centered organization in a post-COVID world, we are living in a post-COVID world because COVID has hit us. I think in terms of relationships, maybe 100 years ago, in the workplace, the power relations were all about just get the job done. We've seen over the years that, with better relationships, we're able to work better, get more outputs. And I think companies who haven't recognized the power of relationships and have gone with the traditional authoritarian relationships have struggled in the transition towards COVID. And relationships are becoming even more important. They've always been important, as we've seen with the BRM Institute, but they've become even more important. And the timing of the relationship-centered organization couldn't be better, because this is the way that organizations should be working to achieve maximum value. And very pleased to have Tom Kruse here to talk to us about the relationship-centered organization. Tom is a business relationship manager with the BRM Institute, and he's currently involved in expanding BRM across Europe, including Italy, the UK, and Switzerland. He's a content strategist for the BRM Institute and is prolific in his publishing. I think Tom's published more than 50 articles in the last few years around BRM, always interesting to read. And he's also lead member of the BRM Institute's relationshipism team, which is helping to drive a new triple bottom line of business, moving away from the traditional profit-based models of the last 100 years to a new triple bottom line of people, purpose, and planet. Tom, it's a great honor to have you on board.
Thank you, Baz. I'm honored by the introduction and honored to be here to speak to all of you today. Are you able to hear me all right?
All clear.
That's a yes.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you. And before I jump into the relationship-centered organization system, I'm going to actually turn my video off and encourage all of you to hide the thumbnail video, the little videos up there, just to put more focus on the words that I'll be saying, the message I'll be getting across, and using the slides to help with that understanding. So, thank you very much, Mark. Let's start. Consider your R. I encourage everyone right now to take a moment and consider the best work relationship you've ever had. Picture that person in your mind and think about what you accomplished together. The fun you had, the creative sharing and mutual growth that occurred. I'm personally confident that this individual warmed your heart a little bit, and that warmth created energy that you unleashed through powerful ideas, inspired creativity, and motivated work. And consider that relationship your capital R. Now imagine that every relationship within your immediate team was just like your R. What could you accomplish? Now imagine every relationship that has anything to do with your organization, with this chapter, working just like that. How much positive energy would be created by your organization? And this is the driving force behind a self-sustaining organization. It's not balance sheets or a set of work activities that drive value in your organization, it's relationships. And moving on to the next slide, talking about how relationships drive value. The BRM Institute for years has demonstrated that managing relationships creates significant value for organizations. Recent data is showing more and more that purposeful relationships create significant profitability for organizations. In fact, organizations that exist to contribute to humankind financially outperform those that don't. This has led the Institute to formulate the new triple bottom line you see on the screen of people, purpose, and planet. The statistics show that experts around the world are identifying the increasing need for a triple bottom line that expands the focus of society to more than just shareholder value. Forbes demonstrates that staff turnover rates drop by 57% when people feel connected to their organization's mission, purpose, and values. A Cone research study in 2018 uncovered that 78% of people would tell others to purchase from a purpose-driven company, so that covers the purpose part. And according to a New York University Stern study, sustainable offerings outperform their non-sustainable peers with 5.6 times faster growth. That's supported because consumers are demanding a focus on the planet and organizations are proving its economic value. Organizations like Patagonia, which is a B corporation whose mission is to protect the planet, they quadrupled their turnover over the last decade to $1 billion. Now, these statistics represent just a tiny sample of a vast amount of articles recently published around purposeful relationships. Purposeful relationships drive value for organizations, but how exactly does value creation take place? Moving on to the next slide, and thinking once more about your R and the energy you got from it. The structure of every organization consists of nearly innumerable relationships that connect people, not unlike the relationships between protons, neutrons, and electrons in an atom. And like atoms that generate energy, relationships create energy. It starts from the relationship you have with yourself and builds out from there. Positive work relationships like your R are built on trust and shared ownership of strategy and results. Lots of positive work relationships form positive value networks that drive exponential value for your organization. And yet, negative relationships also exist. These relationships are energy draining and contribute to value leakage. If left unchecked, they could perpetuate negative value networks that create a toxic culture in your organization. So all organizations have relationships that fall across the positive and negative spectrum, but the goal is to cultivate as many positive work relationships as possible to optimize value and satisfy the triple bottom line of people, purpose, and planet. BRM Institute has spent many years in this space developing a system to help you evolve your organization. And we're happy to share that it is possible to have multiple relationships in your organization that are closer to your R. An organization that strives to cultivate more Rs every day is what we call a relationship-centered organization. Today, the relationship-centered organization is even more important, with COVID-19 having impacted relationships as we know them. With numerous changes in the workplace, companies that invested in trusted relationships have seen benefits in areas such as remote working, all of us here. With the lockdowns, there's been a focus on relationships, as people appreciate the physical contact of the workplace, but have also come to appreciate and rely on contact through electronic means, with global conferences such as BRM Connect having been staged successfully. Now, the key to unlock and optimize value in a relationship-centered organization is an effective BRM capability. If you could please move to the next slide, Mark. I'm just going to leave this here and say that every single one of you, regardless of your role or title, has a business relationship management capability. Because anyone who forms relationships contributes to your organization's BRM capability. Many of you at this event are not business relationship managers by title, yet you still have a BRM capability that you can cultivate to drive value. For those of you who are BRMs by title, you may be familiar with the following information, but in the interest of creating Rs between everyone here, I want all of us to have a mutual understanding. So as you see on the screen, BRMs exists as a role, a discipline, and a capability. As a role, you try to develop your Rs across your organization as a connector who makes sure that demand meets supply, an orchestrator being the single point of focus for purposeful relationships, and a navigator who translates strategy into action. The role is supported by, as Aaron mentioned, a global network of BRMs who contribute knowledge to the BRM discipline, which develops tools, techniques, and methods to help you in your role. Ultimately, a BRM capability is everything you need to manage relationships. It's the full-on ability of your organization to drive value with BRM and help your business partners. These business partners include everyone from the person next to you in this virtual meeting to the executive leaderships in your organizations. The more they understand about BRM, the stronger your BRM capability, the more Rs you can cultivate, and the more value that results. And moving on once more to how you can cultivate these Rs. Remember, whether you hold the title BRM or something else, you are a part of your organization's BRM capability because you cultivate relationships. The Institute feels that you can increase your business relationship management impact by focusing on what we call BRM DNA. I'm going to touch briefly on these points, and if you want to learn more about your BRM DNA, you can reach out to Baz or Gary, your chapter leaders, for more information. The 5 elements that will help you cultivate more R's include being playful, self-actualized, relationship-centered, purposeful, and fearless. Now, the first one, playful, is not as light as it sounds. Research shows that play is a core function of all animals, and it's what helps humans tap into their imagination. Being playful incorporates fun into office life and makes work feel less like a chore. Playful taps into the inner motivation of employees and brings out their natural creativity. As a result, playful boosts engagement, happiness, and productivity. Self-actualized taps into the growing movements of mindfulness, nonviolent communications, and Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Being self-actualized means achieving one's full potential to form a holistic, balanced self. It is a primary driving force behind human nature. Being relationship-centered means having the ability to identify and initiate mutually beneficial working relationships. In other words, being relationship-centered is creating as many R's as possible. Being purposeful is having determination that guides your decisions every day. Individuals have purpose, as do organizations. And Baz shared with me that the purpose guiding the BRM South Africa chapter is to promote the education of individuals for the improvement and development of their BRM capabilities. We're doing that here today. The last element of your BRM DNA is fearless. Fearless is a state of being that you cultivate day by day. There is no end goal with fearlessness, as every decision you make is an opportunity to face your fears head on. So moving on to the last slide. The relationship-centered organization system is an evolution of all BRM content over the years. It harnesses the best knowledge from the BRMP, the CBRM course, and the global BRM discipline to establish formal processes that help your organization optimize value. Today, we've shared how the best work relationship you've ever had, your R, creates positive energy. Organizations and movements, such as B corporations, recognize that relationships drive value with this energy, and it's relationships that form the core of any organization, as you see there. You evolve each of your relationships to be like your R by cultivating your BRM DNA and adopting the right mindsets. Remembering from earlier, all of you form a part of your organization's BRM capability. As such, your empowered BRM capability enables you to evolve culture, build partnerships, and drive value to satisfy the triple bottom line. Expanding once more, organizations have supporting factors the Institute is increasingly focused on to further enhance your BRM capability. The human factor focuses on helping people satisfy their distinctively human needs. The brand factor forms the identity and personality of an organization. The innovation factor is the discovery of new sources of value through radical or incremental change. The technology factor applies knowledge, tools, and approaches to achieve meaningful results. And the infinite factor is the approach people take to drive value forever with organizational purpose and a culture of effective relationships. However, an organization does not exist alone in a vacuum. Organizations must play well with others, build partnerships with other organizations, and follow environmental and social goals to help people, society, and the planet. This is the environment in which your organization exists. And when all elements of a relationship-centered organization are present, as you see here, they satisfy the triple bottom line of people, purpose, and planet to leave a purposeful impact on the world. As shown, the natural outcome of this improvement on the original bottom line of profit. So the relationship-centered organization involves more elements than this simple list, but you can learn more about it in the Infinite Value Potential mini book you'll be receiving after this session. As BRMs, you can drive purposeful impact by leaning on BRM Institute and the relationship-centered organization. There is a global community of 10,000 plus BRMs behind you, and the Institute is here to support you every step of the way. How you go forth from here will shape not only the evolution of your chapter and organization, but it will prove how you drive value from the relationships that you build every day. Thank you very much for listening, and I will be present during the Q&A to answer any more questions along this. Always happy to be reached out to, but with that, I would like to pass it back to Baz.
Thanks for that, Tom. That is really interesting. And you know, we've heard organizations, people talking about organizations and soft skills. And soft skills are things that we don't really need to focus on because we need to get the hard skills and, you know, the artifacts, as Edward said, you know, that's what it's all about. It's actually been quite astounding going through the BRMP and the CBRM to find out how many practical methods there are to strategically develop relationships and mature them in organizations. So what you've presented is not soft skills, it's becoming the hard skills in business that is making a difference. So thank you very much for that, Tom. Really appreciate you giving us insight into the relationship-centered organization.